So, topic tonight is PT business and how to set one up. So, the very first thing I did back in the day when I walked in the gym was a SWOT analysis. So, I'm sure some of you may have heard of that. But for me, it was the key step to understanding my own place within the gym I was going to be working at. So, for those who are unfamiliar with what SWOT is, it's strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So, I went to work for the first month and I used the SWOT analysis to see what was going on in my workplace. So, being that Pure Gym is the kind of place I work at now, and Pure Gym is one of the biggest operators, I'm going to use that as the example here. So back in 2015, I think, I started working as a PT with Pure Gym in the city centre of Glasgow. And the first thing I did was I went to everybody's classes. I hanged about the gym a little bit just to see what were the other PTs doing, what were their strengths, what classes were the busiest, what potential was there for me to gain clientele, what weren't the guys at that gym doing at that point. So you tend to see when PTs get comfortable that they tend to take their foot off the gas in certain areas. So some of the classes weren't as good as they could have been. Some of the interactions weren't as good as they could have been. So I started to pick up on all these kind of aspects of what was going on. And that meant when I went in, I built myself a strategy and said, right, over the next month, over the next few months, I'm going to use this strategy to build a business. So my strengths are, I'm a people person. I'm really good with speaking to people. I'm really good with speaking to audiences. You'll never get me to shut up, as you can tell from these webinars. But that was the big thing. I went in and I started speaking to people who maybe didn't get spoken to a lot. So from, say, 6 a.m. in the morning to 10 p.m. at night, I would be at the front door saying hi, having conversations. And don't get me wrong, obviously I went and did other stuff during that time, but I would place myself at the front door as much as possible just to say hi and offer support to people coming in the gym. It was a heavy footfall gym, so like speaking to as many people as you can was something I was strong at. But it was also the weakness of the PT team at that time. They weren't speaking to as many people as they could do. And the opportunity lied as well to do that. Now, I didn't perceive any threats from the PT team. Like, there was nobody at the time who I thought was a threat. There was no issues that I saw for myself as a threat. Like, my class knowledge might have not been up to scratch, or my PT might not have been up to scratch. The threats I eliminated pretty quickly, but I spotted other opportunities. So one of the opportunities I spotted was half-hour PT sessions. So nobody in the gym really advertised that they were doing 30-minute sessions. So I went after the lunchtime crowd, who were all business people. They wanted to come in, get their 30 minutes done and leave. And that gave me a place in the afternoon that other PTs weren't busy, because those PTs were doing their own workouts at that time, or they were having lunch themselves because it was lunchtime for everybody else. But I worked through it. I had at least 4 sessions in over that lunchtime period of 12 to 2. And that's because I did half-hour sessions. They came in, they got a blast, they left. That was the opportunity. And the last opportunity I spotted, and it's a very common one with most gyms, was that there was nobody in at the weekends. It was only the basic staff. So I would go in at the weekends and pick up clients because there was nobody else except for myself or the one member of staff who was on to speak to people. So if somebody's got a PT inquiry and they're coming in on a Saturday afternoon, why wouldn't I want to be there? That was one of the days I would like to work. So I used to get in at the weekends and make sure that I didn't have a mad one on a Friday night. That was the whole reason. I didn't want to be out drinking with friends on a Friday night. I wanted to be in focusing on my business. So I had to get my sleep in and come into work on a Saturday. So that all came off the back of a SWOT analysis, having a look at the strengths of myself and the strengths of other people, not trying to fight for the same crowd, looking at the weaknesses of the team as a whole, not individuals as such, looking at the weaknesses of the gym, looking at the opportunities there. And again, if it's your first time doing stuff, do look at the threats. See if there is any threats to your business or threats to the fact that you might not be able to get in to do stuff, or you maybe need to do some more self-improvement. Those could be the threats. So SWOT analysis is the first key thing you should be doing. The second thing, and I kind of alluded to this during the social media marketing webinar, is you need to know who you are as a business. And if you know who you are as a business, that's going to help you explain to other people what you do. So if you can imagine, every personal trainer pretty much has the same qualifications as you will have going into the workplace. The only thing they have different on top of anybody here today is going to be experience. They might have a little bit more. Now, if that's the case, and I want to explain to somebody why they should train with me, I need to know who I am as a person, and I need to know my own training philosophies before I've even stepped into that place of work. So my big thing when I went into to train people for the first time was I knew I was the guy who could provide a quality of service that nobody else could or would want to. So that was my thing. If you were looking for quality of service, I was the guy to go to. Now that could mean a whole number of different things in people's heads, but for the most part, people understood that if they wanted to get a goal, go to Neil. You want to lift heavy, go to Neil. You want to lose weight, go to Neil. And it's because my service was quality. And it was that, because I knew myself, that's what I wanted to provide. That's who I was. So if you can understand that, you can then have conversations off the back of that and really engage with the people around you. And that will help you with your social media as well. Again, understanding who you are as a business is going to be essential to then being on the gym floor and explaining that to potential clients. Because nobody's just going to walk up to you and say, I want to do personal training with you. That's very rare unless they know who you are. Most people will come up and maybe inquire about personal training, and then you have to explain who you are to them for them to then get on board with that. So that's the key difference, and probably the second most important thing to starting up a PT business. The next thing you need to think about is your environment. And what I mean by that is the gym you work at, or the gym you might work at. So in my early days, I worked at a probably mid-range gym. So a gym that had a pool, had tanning facilities, had class areas, but also had the gym floor. And it was in a quite well-off area. Now, I won't disclose what area it was of Glasgow, but those people were very, very picky with spending money. So I had to be on the ball with explaining my own self and that kind of quality of service I talked about. That's what made me a sought-after PT in that gym. But that's not what made me a sought-after PT when I moved to other gyms. So I had to learn my environment every time I went to a different gym. So the next gym I worked at after that was a Virgin gym, but it wasn't in a well-off area. It was in an area that was more of an industrial estate. So again, we were pulling in people who were locals, but they didn't have that much money, and they were spending £50 a month just on their membership, never mind anything else. So approaching that carefully and having people understand that they weren't going to be sticking with me for years. It was only signs up for 3 months at that time. So explaining to them that it was an investment in themselves and being able to approach them in the right manner made a massive difference to my success there. There was a lot of PTs that came and went through those gyms, and again, if they would have looked at their environment, they would have had a better chance of succeeding. So just know how to approach the members, because they're going to be different. If you're in a city centre gym or you're in a local gym, it's going to be a totally different type of people you're dealing with. And you need to understand that one size does not fit all at any time during your kind of career as a PT, be it in exercise, nutrition, and certainly not in business. So keep that in the back of your mind. This next point is something that PTs, even in this day and age, are really bad at, and that is going to your market. So once you understand who you are as a PT, you should also understand the type of people you want to train. And if you want to train those type of people, you should go to them. Don't expect them to come to you. So you'll see lots of PTs hang about doing not a lot on the gym floor when they could be trying to make themselves more readily available to their market. So let's think about this for a second. And I've used different strategies in the past for this one. If I'm on the gym floor and I'm looking for weight loss clients are generally going to be roughly about the cardio area, maybe around the weights area. And if I'm not on a shift and I'm not getting paid to do stuff in the gym, that doesn't really matter. I'll go grab a duster and I'll start cleaning equipment, because that gives me a purpose to be around them. And it means I can interact with them. And it also makes me useful as well. So I'm sure your manager would love that, whoever they're going to be. But when we think about it from a business point of view, that's getting us close to the market. They can see that we're actually caring and doing a good job. And then we interact with them. It's a softer approach than just going up to somebody and saying, well, like, you want to lose weight, don't you, because you're on a treadmill? That's never going to work. And it's never going to work just standing about saying hi all the time. And I know I did employ that as a strategy, but there was other aspects to it, remember. What you need to do is find what's going to be good for you and how you can approach the market. Another way of approaching people, and this is a common one, people or PTs find it hard to approach people who are doing cardio. I wouldn't approach it in the kind of manner that I'm going to sell my services or sell my business. I would go across and try to offer support. My business should be one of support, should always be one of support. We get into the fitness industry because we want to help people and we want to change lives. So why do we have to then just stand back and let people do what they're doing? We should go and offer them support. So if you see somebody absolutely nailing a HIIT training session on a treadmill, what's to say you can't go over and say, look, I saw you doing that kind of effort. That was amazing. If you need any more support in the gym tonight, give me a shout. That doesn't sell your service. That opens you up to more conversations down the line. That's what's going to get your business to go from A to B, because people are going to understand that you're there to help, not just there to sell a service. And I don't know about yourselves, but whenever I've been in a gym in the past and a PT's been approaching me, I always think, oh, here we go, they're going to give me a sales pitch. And to be honest, I've had it before in different gyms, I've been about a bit, travelled, and when I've been in gyms in other countries, I've had people pitch to me. They just come up and pitch to me. There's no prior interaction. There's no, hi, what's your name? There's no, oh, I saw you doing something great over there. It's just, oh, by the way, I'm a personal trainer here. Would you like to get my services? That's always going to be a no. So learn how to approach your market. Learn how to go to your market. If you're looking to maybe help people build muscle and that's the kind of clientele you're looking for, that's a harder one to sell. You need to be in the weights room offering support to guys and girls who want to increase muscle mass. That means you're going to have to give away knowledge for free, and that's okay. Every piece of knowledge you're learning just now is out there on the internet somewhere. And Joe Blogs, who's in the gym, they don't know how to disseminate that information. They just know, oh, I heard from this source that this is what I should be doing. That's why we see so many social media things like kickbacks on a stepping machine and booty bands all over the place, and the increase of glute bridges with weights. These are all things that are on social media that people have seen and have jumped on a bandwagon. We want to be there to educate and support. So that's what you should do. Give them the information. There's no amount of information you shouldn't give away for free. People can come up and maybe there is a point when you need to say no to some people because they will take the mick. But if it's somebody in the gym who needs a little bit of help, offer that support. That's going to give your business a boost because they will tell other people about how good your support was. And that's marketing. That's them doing the job for you. So make sure to give out that advice. Make sure to go to your market. And that's going to really help you get more clientele. The next thing, and I know I said to avoid sales pitches, but we need to understand how to then, when somebody inquires, tell them about ourselves. And the little thing I do is I call it a 60-second sales pitch. In 60 seconds, you should be able to describe your business and what it offers a person so that you can regurgitate that whenever it's needed. Now, you shouldn't approach somebody and just regurgitate it to them because they're not going to care. But if somebody does inquire about personal training, you need to explain why they need to choose you, why you're the best choice. Because they could walk up to the board and find out information about you on the PT board, which most gyms have, but they've approached you, they've asked you, so you should be able to then tell them in 60 seconds. And this is something, the more you get better at, you'll not even have to do the full 60 seconds. They'll be like, right, sign me up before you've even got to 60 seconds, because you should be that proficient at explaining what it is that makes you different from the rest. And that's you, your personality and who you are. The next biggest thing for building a PT business, now that you've got all those kind of like things mastered, is going to be your onboarding process. So when we talk about onboarding, we're talking about how we bring a member of the gym or any sort of client that you're going to bring on board, and that process that you do it with. So personally, I will take inquiries, and that's the first point of contact. So be it verbal, face-to-face, email, doesn't matter what the inquiry is, that's the first point of contact. That's it. The second point of contact, I'll always have a consultation with them. Now, a lot of PTs, when they get started in the industry, they kind of jump the gun a little bit sometimes. They might not listen to the inquiry properly, or they might skip out the consultation process and go straight into the program building. And if you do that, you're going to miss out information. So no matter if it's an email into myself, a direct message, or a face-to-face, I will book them a consultation so they can come back and speak to me. Now, this is really important because the time that they select to come back for that consultation will usually be the time that they're available to train. So that's a key thing straight off the bat. If we speak to somebody on a Monday night and they want to book with us the following Monday for a consultation, that's probably going to be their slot. So if I'm already booked and I've got somebody in at that time, I'm going to have to see if they have flexibility in their times that they can train, so I can have that consultation. Having the consultation itself is the first part of the onboarding process. Now, this isn't me blowing my own trumpet, but I do have a very high success rate when it comes to consultations. It's got to be in the high 90s for successful client conversions. If you have a sit-down chat with me, there isn't too many barriers that can be thrown up in my face that I couldn't overcome, because we should be ready for that. If a client doesn't have the time, then how can we overcome that barrier? If they don't have the money, how can we overcome that barrier? There'll be so many different barriers that may get thrown up in your face, but there is solutions. And if you listen properly to the client, you'll be able to find those solutions. So let's take a scenario where somebody maybe comes in for a consultation and they don't have the money to do 2 times a week. That's fine. I would then say, do you have enough in your budget for once a week? And if they still say no, do you have a budget for once a month? If it's yes or no, I'll then drop it down. I'll keep dropping it down until I find something that suits their budget. Because I still want to help the person, but just because I'm not getting two sessions a week out of them doesn't mean I can't still help them. And I'll go as low as I can build a program for you. That's the lowest thing in my repertoire of stuff I can give them to help them. So even with a program, they're still getting support from the kind of online aspects of stuff, and that's a thing that they might benefit from. So there's no need to say, right, you can't do once a week, you can't do this, you can't do that. Right, I'm not going to train you then. There is other options, and we need to have them in our head or have them available to the potential client. When we're doing that consultation process, you need to get every piece of information you can out of a client, because that's going to help you with building programs, building rapport, finalising the onboarding process itself. Personally, my onboarding process comes with a welcome pack now. So for some of the new students here, you would have received my welcome pack that I designed myself. And I spent a bit of time designing that. I'm not going to say that these things don't take time, but it'll be up to yourself what you want to offer. So have a little think about that and really dig into how you would like the onboarding process to look for a client, and probably what you feel you would be comfortable with if you were being onboarded. Do you want loads of paperwork? I probably wouldn't want loads of paperwork. So how can we get that down to maybe one document? You know, there is options out there to do that. Do you want a Q&A? Is there stuff that points up a lot of the time that you can send a client and say, look, this is a Q&A for you to read over and help you understand my business? Again, it'll be really down to how you want to onboard people, but it is a very important step of the process. Now, I understand if I onboard a client properly, that I'm going to be able to factor them into my diary properly as well. And as PTs, again, a very big thing we can do to start off with, which isn't so great, is we can book people in at the wrong times. So we want clients to work for us as well as us working for them. So if you have a client at 6 in the morning and then you have a client at 7 p.m. at night and you've got nothing in between, that's not really productive to you being a good PT, because there's a lot of hours in between that will probably get wasted on stuff that isn't good for your business. So we'd probably look at how we can fill those gaps, and that's where having a good onboarding process will help you manage that diary more effectively. If you understand where all your clients are, you can filter people into time slots. Or, as I said, if you understand that you're busy at that certain point, well, maybe you can offer them another slot, or offer them online services or programming or whatever it is you want to offer them, but still offer that support. Now, when you have the clients in that consultation process and then thereafter, the best thing for building your business and keeping your business sustainable is going to be listening to the members and the clients. Don't ignore any feedback that you get given. If it's good, bad, indifferent, doesn't matter. One person's opinion of your training could be bad, but that's fine. That person was just maybe not meant to work with you. But if that criticism starts to come up a lot, we have to listen to it and be open to taking criticism. Some people will like some of the stuff you do, some people will not. And a good example of this is probably how I teach classes. Everybody who comes to my classes, they know they're going to be quite intense, quite hard, and difficult to complete. Now, I've only got 30 minutes with a class, so my idea is I want to give them the hardest workout that I can possibly give them. And that's okay in some respects, but for some people, they're not going to be able to complete that class, or they might find it too hard. Now, I do have regressions and I have all the tools available to help people that come to the class and find it difficult, but some people just don't want to come to the class because it's hard. And that's okay. You don't have to be everybody's cup of tea. And that's a good thing to realize with your business. Not every person is going to be good for your business. You're going to have people that want to waste your time. You're going to have people who, as I said before, maybe ask too much advice-wise and they just want to use you. You're going to get people who are what I call are joy vampires. They just suck the joy out of your working day, and you do get them. And then I would say these people are the ones you want to avoid. If you find you're training somebody and there's no rapport there, there's no like connection, it's going to drag down your day. When you train them, you're going to not look forward to training them, and you're probably not going to give your best because of that. So in that case, I would maybe sit down after the initial first block and maybe just say, this isn't working, and I think you should maybe go to another trainer and maybe give them a suitable trainer. And explain that you just don't feel there's a good connection here, and that's not going to help them with their goals. That shows really good business sense because it keeps you happy, and you're probably going to help another PT as well. So they're going to probably respond in kind. They're going to start recommending people to you as well. So these are really good aspects to think of when building a business. Don't just think of grabbing everybody you can. Make sure that that onboarding process is done properly, and that when you bring the person on board, they really fit who you are as a person as well. When you're out on the gym floor, and this is my next point, we don't want to seem unrelatable to people. We want to be the kind of person that you can approach. And I know that's kind of hard coming from a almost 6 foot bald like bodybuilder. That I don't always seem the most approachable person in the gym. But as soon as you start speaking to me, you can't get me to shut up. And usually people enjoy their kind of time speaking to me. And that's because I try to be as relatable as possible. Now, I've sat with big groups in the past to do nutrition courses and do X, Y, and Z. And the one thing that always made my courses successful was the relatability they can have to me. So if I'm talking nutrition to a client, I'm going to explain to them that I absolutely love ice cream and that I don't eat vegetables, but I'm going to advocate that you do. So that gives them a kind of relatability to me because they understand I'm just a person I'm not this fitness machine that's just out there in the gym all day, every day. I'm a person too. And if you can bring that relatability and bring your personality into the workplace, that's going to help you stand out from the crowd. Your ability as well, obviously, but relatability is key to bringing people towards you. So like I said, when we go to the market, we also want the other people who are on the outlines watching what we do to think, oh, that looks like a fun person to be around, or I would like to train with them because I like the way they spoke to that person. When you're in the gym, you are always getting looked at as a professional anyway. Not when you're doing your own workouts. Most people don't actually care. But as a professional, they'll see you wearing the PT t-shirt. They'll see you wearing the branding of whoever you're working for, and they will want to see what you do on that gym floor. What is it you're actually doing? Are you just standing around? Are you offering advice? Are you training people? Do you look like a busy PT? Are you always engaged? Or are you the one that's in the corner with a coffee and can't really get themselves up for a conversation? These are the things that members might perceive of you. So again, my next point would be, remember that you're always being your business. So no matter what you're doing, be it coming up to the gym in the morning, do you look like a scruff? Have you just got out the car from a night before? You don't want members to see that. You want to be professional at all times. Now, if you go in the back of house and you're having a little bit of a laugh with other PTs, that's fine. But when you go back on the gym floor, it's game time, and you should always be supporting your own business. A lot of PTs forget that sometimes, and they'll maybe, I mean, I've heard it in the past. PTs are swearing across the gym at each other, or they might be eyeing up somebody walking across the gym, and that's girls and guys. That's not just exclusive to one. We want to show professionalism at every point we can. So bear that in mind when you're in that gym floor environment. Now, I'm going to have a quick break and allow you to catch your breath. And I'm going to log you all off. And then if you all log back on again, we will get the last little bit done before we do the Q&A. That good, guys?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Awesome. I will see you in a minute or so.